My life. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. It is December 31st, the very last day of 2021. And the question is, how many of you are happy that we are saying goodbye to 2021? I am. But before we answer that, let me introduce you to my wonderful co-host, Mr. Stephen the Medium. Hello.
Hey, well, you gave me my title. That's wonderful. Hi. Hi, I'm here.
Well, I'm glad that you are here.
Yes.
And together, by the way, you may know both of us as Steelix.
That's it.
So, it's Coach Elex, Stephen the Medium, and we make the powerful couple known as Steelix.
That's it.
So, Stephen, the question is, are you happy that we're about to say goodbye to 2021?
Well, I mean, I am happy as I'm always happy for the next second, the next minute, the next day to keep moving forward, to keep progressing. But I always look back at 2020, 2021 as learning. Like I think like these past couple of years, we've learned so much more than many other years. So I'm glad we experienced it, and I am glad we're moving forward.
Yes, I would agree with that. Personally, 2021 was an amazing year for me professionally, for both of us personally. I think it was, and professionally, it was an amazing year. So I'm super grateful when I reflect on 2021, and super grateful of all the wonderful opportunities that it brought. And like you, I'm ready for 2022. I'm like really ready, charged up for 2022.
Well, you know what? I don't personally, I don't like when people, say it was a bad year, it was a bad month, whatever it is. I can't wait to close this. I want to move on. And if you're saying that statement, then you're missing the most powerful statement that when you're hit hard, when, that there's either tragedy or there's just things that just really knock you down, is the best place to grow. It's the best place to see more insight. It's the best place to get onto a different frequency. So it may, of course, be very difficult, but it's a place that we have the possibility, the opportunity to grow the most that we can.
Yeah, and both of us, I think it's fair to say, Stephen, that last year was a year that presented some significant challenges for both of us, personally and professionally. But if I hone in on what you just said, I am left with so much to be grateful, and so many good positive lessons that the breakdowns or the hardships, or the moments that were not the greatest, left behind.
Right.
And like you said, I think if we focus on only the bad, but we don't really take a moment to see the good, because there's always good, even in the bad, right? Would you say that?
I think I just did.
You did. So I think when we do that, you create an opportunity to sort of like dance in gratitude. And when you're dancing in gratitude, actually, I'm going to talk about that later on. Gratitude creates that opening for meaningful goals to emerge effortlessly. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that I'm going to invite all of you who are listening, take a moment to reflect on 2021, and find, even if you had a hard year, find things to be grateful for. So, talking about being grateful for, Stephen, what are some of the things that you are grateful for? What was 2021 like for you?
Oh wow, there was certainly a lot. I mean, I think I think 2020 and 2021 are sort of, for me, in the same category. Of course, 2021 was much better, in reference to the pandemic, just because of we were where we were with vaccinations and whatnot. But those 2 years are sort of, I don't know. I look at them together, and again, I think it's 2 years of being able to stop and reset and just look at for me, where I was, where I had been, and where I wanted to move forward. And really, the thing I'm most grateful for was taking, I think, an inventory or an assessment of my life, and like everybody else, how the past really generated what was going on in the present, and to really look at the stuff that I needed to or I wanted to get rid of. And I did that. So it was great.
Yeah. And when you are looking at 2022, what are you seeing as possibilities for 2022? Don't give it all away, because we're going to talk a little bit more, throughout the show about casting a powerful personal vision. But what do you see just as a possibility for 2022 for yourself?
I think it comes down to what I've listened to, and out of you and I over this past couple of years, because of COVID and being at home, we've listened, and I think did a lot of soul searching and listened to a lot of amazing, whether it's radio shows or TV, just really focused on under the spiritual umbrella. And ultimately, what I'm so excited about is the realization that our lives are really about two choices, about either love or fear. And just that realization alone that I got over the past couple of years, and knowing that 2022 is going to be the year of just choosing love, that's just going to open even more and more opportunities.
That's fabulous. Keep that in mind as we begin to create that, or casting that powerful personal vision for 2022. By the way, what a wonderful title, and it's like pun intended. I have you, and you are, a master at casting a powerful spell, and this is in essence what we really are doing today. It's casting that magical, powerful personal vision for 2022. So,
and I'm holding my Harry Potter wand, so watch out.
I believe I was there with you at the store when you got it, and I'm like, I actually told the salesperson he's magical. So
I know, I was right there.
Yeah. So just know that. But anyways, for me personally, when I look back at 2021 and all of the challenges, the pandemic, of course, the disruption, not as hard as 2020, because 2020 was just, we didn't know. Nobody has lived through a pandemic, so we were like all trying to figure out what is this about. But as we enter 2021, I learned to really accept the what is and embrace the what is and not resist. And the moment you accept, you embrace that, the what is, it just creates that opening for, to see so much beauty that you normally would take for granted. And I think about how grateful I am for this new home this is our first year in our new home. I still there's times, Stephen, where I just pause in the middle of a room and just, I'm just in awe for being so, so blessed to be here, to be in this place, for, having such a great opportunity, an amazing opportunity to continue to have you in my life, have the life that we have, to have my mom. My mom is 96 years old, and and I'm learning to really be grateful for having her here and for every moment. and to, and she really has taught me that tomorrow is not promised to any of us, right? All we have is today, and to really be present. And you remind me of that all the time. Be present, because I do personally, I have a tendency. I mean, I got to be transparent with all of you. I am a coach, and I coach, high performing leaders in living extraordinary lives. But that doesn't mean that I am perfect in every aspect of my life. I'm very imperfect. And I've learned to accept my imperfect ways, and to really learn to pause and correct in real time. And one of those things that I'm definitely not perfect at is being present. I often worry about what tomorrow, or mostly about tomorrow. I'm not one of those people that dwell on what happened. I've mastered letting go of what happened, but I'm constantly thinking about tomorrow, 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 and I have to just really keep reminding myself that tomorrow doesn't really exist. All that we have is right now, right this moment, and you remind me of that. So, again, all of that puts me in this place of just being surrounded by grace, by being grateful for my life and for everything that I have. And I think that creates, and while we talk about this, today is the last day of the year. So this is a perfect day, a perfect opportunity to really think about creating what next year it's going to look like. And creating is very differently than just hoping or wishing for something or just waiting for something to happen. Creating, it's about actively, intentionally deciding what it is that you want next year to look like. And, you know, one of the most frequent conversations that you hear at this time of the year, right? It's about, what are your New Year's resolutions, and everyone is focused on New Year's resolutions, and I will tell you, and I've said this in previous shows. New Year's resolutions. There's plenty of scientific studies that show that they're not as effective. 23% of New Year resolutions are broken in the first week of January. Think about that. And 45% are broken before February. So the question is why? Why are those New Year's resolutions not, not holding, not staying for most people? And I would argue that it's because when you have a New Year's resolution without an empowering context, an empowering vision, a personal commitment, a purposeful action behind it, it just becomes a to do, something else to do. So I think it's time to take a break, Stephen. But when we come back, I want to dive deeper into that conversation. And so I hope you guys stick around. We'll be right back.
The sun's out.
I love it. And hello, everyone, and welcome back. Happy New Year to everyone who's listening. We are talking about how to cast a powerful personal vision for 2021. Before the break, I talk about the ineffectiveness of New Year's resolutions and why 23%. There's a lot of studies that show that 23% of New Year's resolutions are broken in the first week of January, and 45%, nearly half of those New Year's resolutions, are forgotten about by February. And why is that? What's the reason behind it? I would argue that one of the reasons behind that is the lack of an empowering personal vision, a personal commitment, a purposeful action. In today's conversation, it's really about helping you create that empowering personal vision. I personally call it a legacy statement, and I call it a legacy statement. A lot of the leaders I coach leaders, high performing leaders, and I help them create leadership legacy statements for themselves. But for you and this conversation today, I want you to start thinking about what your personal legacy statement for 2022 might look like. And, if legacy statement, it doesn't call to you, you can call it a vision, you could call it purpose, whatever it is that calls to you. But ultimately, a legacy statement really requires dreaming, it requires planning, it requires that you create meaningful goals. And that I'm going to be talking about quite often throughout the show today. And these are very important, essential elements of a vision for the new year or a legacy statement for the new year. It also requires, it's an opportunity for you to look back. And I think Stephen talked a little bit about this before. Look back at the past year. What worked, what didn't, what are you grateful for? What may be holding you back? What fires you up? What did you learn from that past year that may have held you back that it now fire you up to take on in the new year? One thing to always remember is whenever there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be, even if our life is going well, by the way, there should always be a gap between where you are and where you want to be. We're bound to feel that tension. And that tension, by the way, is the fuel, is what you can use as the fuel to move you forward. People often talk about fear, right? And fear creates a lot of inaction. But fear is a non-negotiable when going after your goal. You cannot negotiate with fear. It's natural, it's essential. And the good news, each time you step out of your comfort zone, the next uncomfortable thing feels a little easier. So embrace the fear. Courage, often it's been said, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action, and I call it purposeful action in the face of fear. So why is self-reflection often uncomfortable? So Stephen, why do you think taking these steps is often uncomfortable for people?
Wait a minute, taking what steps?
To
get to a vision?
Reflecting on what's happened, reflecting on life, to begin to create, in this case, perhaps a vision or a commitment for the upcoming year.
Well, I think the biggest reason is what you just mentioned, is fear. Is fear of if you're forced or want to address, and again, like I mentioned, take an inventory and it just, I think that the possibility or the fear that you may not be where you want to be, or if there's goals or dreams that you haven't got to, the fear of you're never going to be able to get there, or you're not good enough, or I think it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I often would say one of the reasons why self-reflection or thinking about the future in this way, it's uncomfortable for people is because it's a lot of people, because of fear, you're absolutely right. People have a tendency to, it's easier to pretend something isn't there than to address what is and what isn't. And this requires, when you're thinking about, let me look at my life today, let me look at what it is I want tomorrow. It takes a lot of courage to say, here's what I want, here's what I'm going for. Because oftentimes, our fear is what keeps us from that conversation, that little gremlin in the background, by the way, which is very real. It's one of our most powerful brains says, hey, if you do that, if you commit to something that big and it doesn't happen, you're going to look bad, right? So let's stay safe. Let's not commit to that. Let's not really, go into that place where you're making yourself vulnerable. Self-reflection, by the way, it's the process of, embracing being vulnerable. And that creates the opening to really take on, new goals. Does that make sense, Stephen?
Of course, yes, absolutely.
So this brain is certainly its job. By the way, the brain, it's not trying to keep you from not being successful. It's just really trying to protect you, because its job is to protect you from what it perceives as a threat, and going for goals that are big are often threatening for our brains, or that specific brain. So it sort of tried to keep us in that comfort zone. So this is an opportunity. Today's conversation is about, so what do we need to do? What are some of the critical steps that you can take to cast a powerful vision for 2022? So I'm going to take you, and this is what I'm going to call the rapid method, because my GRIP methodology is something that I spend months and months with my clients. But for today, I'm going to take you to the express GRIP methodology. And GRIP, by the way, it's an evidence-based framework that helps close the gap between where you are now and where it is that you want to be. So I want you to start thinking about 2022, what it is that you want 2022 to look like. Now, that brain that wants to keep you nice and safe is going to say, hey, don't be creating big goals. We want to keep you nice and safe, because if you create big goals, you may fail and look really bad. And I want you to just say to that brain, okay, it's okay, and sort of put it on mute for this conversation. Embrace the fear and take action instead of the fear. So GRIP is a 5-step thought-provoking roadmap, and it's designed to remove everything that stands between you and those meaningful goals.
And by the way, Elix,
yes,
make sure you tell everybody that is your created methodology. You created it.
It is. It's my own. And by the way, if you forget GRIP, always remind yourself, this is what it stands for. Greatness requires intention and purpose. You want 2022 to be an exceptional year. You want to be great in 2022. You want to have exceptional results in 2022. It requires intention and purpose. So you got to get a grip on what it is that you want. GRIP, it's designed to connect the why and the how. By the way, I've been doing, GRIP is an ongoing process. I've been coaching for nearly 20 years, actually over 20 years. And GRIP is the process, a process I've developed over all that time. So this is something that I know works, because I've seen, hundreds of clients that I've coached over the past 20 years, get a grip and change and transform their lives, incredible, in exceptional ways. So now I think we are close to a break. So here's what we're going to do. Let's take a break. If our producer is okay with that, that way I can get into grip without having a lot of interruptions. So I want you to stay tuned, stay with us. We're going to talk about how to cast a powerful personal vision for 2022. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. And Happy New Year to everyone who's listening today, December 31st, 2021. And I'm here with my co host,
Steven the Medium.
Steven the Medium, and together we are Steelix, the one and only Steelix.
Yes,
So
we are.
we are talking about our conversation today is about how to cast a powerful personal vision for 2022. So forget, those New Year's resolutions and instead, first and foremost, cast a personal, powerful vision for 2022. And one of the most powerful ways to do so is through the use of the GRIP methodology, my own methodology that I've been using and creating, developing for over 20 years of practice as a coach. So this is a 5-step process that helps you. It's a thought-provoking process that helps you get from where you are now to where you want to be. The first step is to be crystal clear as to what is your leadership legacy or your life legacy. And again, I use leadership legacy because I do a lot of high performing leaders. I coach a lot of high performing leaders, and we talk about their leadership legacy. But this can be a life legacy. This can be a vision. This can be a purpose statement. And what it is, it's a statement that reminds you of who you are and what is that one imprint that you want to leave behind, whether it's, with your family, with your children, with your business, with those people who are important to you in our lives. And when I talk about legacy, by the way, most people immediately begin to connect with what that means for them. So I have two questions that you can ask yourself. So if you're listening, get a piece of paper, because this requires, and Stephen and Mark, you should get a piece of paper here as well. This requires a little bit of easy work. So two questions. Ask yourself, what fuels your commitment to who you are, what you do as the leader in your life? So what is it that fuels your commitment? When you wake up in the morning, what is it that gets you going and excited to step into life? And the second question is, how do you want others to remember you? So two questions. Now, there's no right or wrong answer. Whatever comes to mind as you start thinking, just write it down. Write it down. Again, don't think of, oh my God, it's got to look like this, it's got to look like that, this is not big enough, or what. No, write it down. When you have a couple of things, and this should be things that should come to you, whatever comes to your mind immediately, that's what you want to write down, because that's often what calls to you. So as soon as you have something that comes to mind, I want you to reframe it. Reframe what you have into an I am statement. So it may be that you say something like, what fuels me is to make others feel better, to have others live their best life. And I'm speaking about my own personal commitment. That is what fuels me every day. I wake up and that's what I'm committed to. What am I going to do today that is going to have somebody else, be inspired to be their best selves, right? That's the legacy I want to leave behind. So if I was to write that in an I am statement, I would say, I am committed to inspiring others to live their best lives. That becomes a legacy statement. That can be a vision statement. That, by the way, that's the start of something that you can keep adding on, because this is one, we're doing a quick exercise today, but this is something that you could add on, later, and as your mind continues to give you new ideas, just add to that. I just recently did a training with about 30 leaders. These are local government leaders, and I did this exercise with them. And honestly, I was a little scared, thinking, oh my God, are they going to come up with something that's really, inspiring, really valuable? And at the end of the day, these are some of the examples of what came out of these individuals. I'm a strong and kind leader who creates future strong, kind leaders. I'm an agent for change. I'm a leader who's supportive of others by improving the quality of their lives. I'm a hard worker and thankful for my job. I am inspired by those with less power and privilege, who soldier on in the face of oppression. I mean, these are really, really, very inspiring statements. So whatever it is that you have, see if you can come up with an I am statement. So, Stephen, earlier today, you talked about being committed, having 2022 being a year where you are committed, to love, right?
Right.
So when I asked these two questions, what came to mind for you?
Well, not on the same page as what you just expressed yours. was because when I wrote the questions down, and as soon as you started saying just write whatever comes to your mind, and for the first one, what fuels your commitment, and do the I am statement. Honestly, the first thing that came to mind in my I am is I am committed to making Elix, Little Ricky, and Django feel loved, safe, and happy. I didn't go to like a projection or profession. It was just the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, and by the way, that now you can build from that because I personally know you. So if you were to expand, right, on that commitment, what would that look like?
Well, I'm close. I guess maybe not. I don't know. Maybe all three: loved, safe, and happy. I think I could apply that to what I do as a medium.
And you should, because this is a legacy statement.
Yeah, I think it's pretty wild, Elix, how that can just be expanded, because it really is. When I wake up in the morning, the first thought is you and the two dogs, the two boys. And I love how that statement can be used across the board for really when I do readings, because so many people are in a vulnerable place. I'm having their loved ones that have crossed over coming forward, and it's with so many emotions. And yeah, my goal really is to make them feel loved and make them feel safe in this environment and make them feel happy. That is wild.
Yeah. So let's reframe that. I am committed to what?
You mean in reference to like what I do professionally?
Yeah. If this was to be a statement that could apply to all aspects of your life, how would you speak it? I'm committed to.
Well, I don't know then, all aspects of my life, because I can't really say I'm committed to making everybody feel safe around me. I mean, that's not all aspects of my life. I don't know. I'd have to figure that out, because that wouldn't make any sense to me. I mean, maybe like in my job as a medium, yes, but not when I'm in the grocery store. I'm not committed to making the woman buying deli meat next to me feel safe. I mean, I'm not gonna, tell her I got you covered if you fall. I don't know. Seriously.
Yeah, but when you Stephen, when you hone in what fuels what you do, right?
Right.
When you think of your career as a medium, what is it that fuels that commitment? You speak it all the time.
Well, really the reason why I do this is to change people's lives.
Yeah.
My motto, and I say this many times, is making people feel better than what they were when they first started the reading, or greater.
Yeah. So imagine if you, and again, I want you to think about it, and this is a thought-provoking conversation, so you don't have to have the right answer now, but imagine if you were crystal clear about your legacy statement, and it was something like, I am committed to, inspiring others to feel better about, their lives or themselves, or whatever that is for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think what makes sense is that it is very thought-provoking, and it's something that just can't, for me anyway, I just couldn't get this done within an hour.
Yeah, and it's not supposed to. I mean, you don't have to. Some people actually can think of it, very quickly. But again, those are the two questions I want you to ask yourself. What fuels your commitment to who you are and what you do? And what do you want others to remember you, for? Those are the two questions. And then whatever comes to mind, write it as an I am statement. And whatever that is, that is your foundation from which you create anything else. Now, in order for your vision or legacy statement to be strong, you have to include elements like hope and faith. And hope, when I talk about hope, I don't think of wishing for anything or or like when you talk about hoping for something, I want you to think of, when you have faith, when you know something is going to happen. That's an element that you want to include in that vision statement. The vision statement, the legacy statement, it's really, it becomes an anchor for everything else that you do. It's got to have possibility. Don't let the uncertainty of the how get in your way. So a lot of people get stuck in, yeah, I really want to be committed to this, but I don't know how. That's okay. Don't worry about the how. Write it down anyways. A strong vision helps you see possibility. You don't, the how will come. And it's got to have potential. Be willing to play big, create a gap. Again, we talked about, that gap that exists between where you are now and where you want to be. Those gaps are important. Strong visions allows you to rise to your potential. A great vision stretches you, and that's the purpose of, of this exercise. Be willing to stretch yourself. Don't allow the background, don't allow that fear brain, right, to say, well, but how am I going to do that? That's not possible. That's not realistic. That's okay. Write it down anyways. And at some point, you will know. You will know whether it is, something that calls to you, or it's not what calls to you just yet. The second step is, with that legacy statement in mind, get grounded in gratitude. So once you're clear about what your legacy statement is, for me, I'm committed to inspiring others to live their best life. That's what I'm committed to. That's why what I wake up every day. That's what I do. And by the way, Stephen, you made a great point. For me, I don't qualify that. When I walk into a market, that's who I am. When I walk into the gym, that's who I am. I am not, my legacy statement, it's not, oh, only 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. No, no, no. This is a legacy statement that I can own. This is who I am every day, day in, day out. And those who know me know that this is who I am and this is what I do no matter what. So get grounded in that legacy statement. And when you get grounded in that legacy statement, that creates the opening to then be feel the gratitude, what comes to mind around, gratitude in that legacy statement. So let me do this. I think it's time to take a break. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna wrap up this conversation. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone. Welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elex, and Happy New Year to everyone who's listening. Today, we are having a conversation about how to cast a powerful personal vision for 2022. First step is to be clear about what your legacy statement is. And you can do that by asking yourself two questions: what fuels you? And what's the legacy that you want to leave behind? Whatever comes to mind, write it, then reframe it is in an I am statement. I am committed to blank, whatever that is. Personally, I am committed to inspiring others to live their best life. Now, step number two, with that legacy statement in mind, want to get grounded in gratitude. So when I think about being committed to inspiring others to live their best lives, I get grounded in, how grateful I am, to provide that opportunity for others, how grateful I am to leave others better than how I found them. And whenever you get grounded in gratitude, that will allow for meaningful goals to emerge effortlessly. So again, get crystal clear as to what your legacy, that's step number one. Step number two, begin to think about meaningful goals, and how you do that is with the legacy statement in mind, you get grounded in gratitude and then allow the goals to emerge. So, for me personally, I often think about, with that commitment of inspiring others to live their best lives, how many people do I want to touch this upcoming year? So it makes me think about my business. It makes me think about the metrics that I want to achieve, how many new people how many new businesses, new opportunities I want to have in 2022. And so I want you to start thinking about what that is for you. Now, in the break, Mark, our producer, talked about, a legacy statement for him is his commitment to his parents, his commitment to his job, to being a producer, to doing an exceptional job at the radio station. So with that in mind, Mark, your next step in meaningful goals is to think about, when you're doing that, right? What are you grateful for? And allow for some meaningful goals to emerge. What do you want to do? What are you committed to doing in 2022 for your parents? What is a career goal that you want to take on for 2022 for you personally? For you producing our show. And again, that is how you begin to get crystal clear as to what the meaningful goals are. Step number three, it's about asking yourself, what is holding me back from pursuing these meaningful goals? And this is an opportunity to take personal accountability and responsibility for any potential roadblocks or inaction. And here's the key to this part. This is not about roadblocks that exist out there. This is about, again, looking at roadblocks where you can take personal accountability and responsibility for any lack of action. So where are you avoiding being responsible for doing what you need to do? Where are you getting yourself off the hook for not doing what you need to do? And I'll give you a hint, everyone. Procrastination is a big one. This is one thing that gets in the way of many of us pursuing and achieving meaningful goals. By the way, when we talk about New Year's resolutions, it's all great until we fail to fulfill on the commitment because we procrastinate. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow or next week or whenever. So that's a way, being crystal clear as to what it is that may be a potential roadblock and how it is that you can take personal accountability and responsibility for, removing that roadblock or from that block, getting in your way. Does that make sense so far, Stephen?
Yes, very much so.
Step number 4, You got to ask yourself every day, are my actions aligned with my legacy statement, my vision, my commitment? So if I say I'm committed to inspiring others to be their best selves or to live their best lives, and that's what I do as a coach, yet I'm a jerk when I walk into the gym and I'm not being my best self, that is an action that is not aligned with that commitment. And you got to learn to pay attention and learn to call yourself out in real time so that you can then realign. So I ask myself that all the time. And sometimes, I find myself knowing crystal clear, I'm definitely not honoring my legacy statement. I am not being my best self. I am not inspiring others. And it could be you and me, Stephen, where I may not have left you feeling your best self. That means I am fully responsible and accountable for not honoring that legacy statement, because the result is you were left not being your best self. So again, this is about taking personal accountability and personal responsibility for honoring that legacy statement, that vision, that commitment every day. And the last step into casting a powerful personal vision for 2022 is you have to get into purposeful action. A goal without a plan is just an illusion. It's not a goal. So ask yourself, what is one specific thing, what are two specific things? They got to be measurable actions that you can take immediately that will move you towards your goal. So if your goal is, I'm randomly thinking, hey, I want to be I'm committed to being my healthiest self in 2022. Okay, so, what is one thing that could get in the way? Well, personal accountability. I procrastinate going to the gym. Okay, now you know. So you got to be responsible for making sure that you honor what you say you're going to do. How are your actions aligned with your vision, that commitment to be your healthiest self for 2022? Well, are you eating right or are you not? Are you exercising or are you not? That's just, you either are or you aren't. There's no in between, right? So are your actions aligned with that legacy, that vision, that commitment? And the last step is, what specifically are you committed to doing that will move you toward achieving those meaningful goals? So if you're committed to living your healthiest self in 2022, one goal could be, I am committed to going to the gym 3 times a week. That's specific and that's measurable. Specific because that's your commitment 3 times a week, and that's measurable. You know whether you do it or you don't. If you do it 2 times a week, that's not 3. If you commit to 3, it's 3, not 2, not 1. If you committed to eating healthier and you're eating junk food, well, that's not honoring that commitment. So again, purposeful action is being crystal clear as to what it is that you're going to do that's going to move you towards your goal. And it's got to be specific and it's got to be measurable. I'll leave you with this. Our brains don't always like change, but pushing through the tension is worth it. A year from now, you will be so glad you started today. 2022 has so much hope, possibility, potential, and you have so much hope, possibility, and potential. And I hope this conversation will inspire you to cast a powerful personal vision for yourself for 2022. Stephen, what value do you think this conversation provided for our listeners today?
Oh, I think the contents, I think, are just amazing, but also the timing. It's the beginning of a new year, so all of those 5 steps, I think, are pretty amazing, that people that wrote them down, and you should definitely make sure you list them on your social media.
I will make sure that my Lindsay darling, who happens to be on vacation, gets the memo so that we can list this on our social media. Thank you for reminding me. So where can people find you, Mr. Stephen the Medium?
On third floor in my office. Is that what you mean? Oh,
Well,
Stephen the Medium. Just look where Stephen the Medium is, and you'll find me.
and are you up to anything in particular?
Oh, I am up to a lot of things that are in the works, and just some great projects.
Awesome. And if they want to schedule you for a personal reading, do they find you at your website,
StephenTheMedium.com.
Beautiful. There you go. You can do the same for me. You can find me at Coach Helix on all social media. And again, I wish you all an amazing, happy new year, prosperous, filled with love, happiness, and abundance in every aspect of your life. So with that said, see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.